District November meeting. Nice to have everyone here, to see your smiling faces. I can see you kind of back there in the audience if anybody wants to move up here. We're friendly folks and so we'll go ahead and get the meeting started. At this time, I would like to ask the board, I believe Peters will read our land acknowledgement.
We ask that you take a moment to stop what you are doing, to listen to these words as we recognize the land that we currently inhabit. No matter where each of us is physically located in Lincoln County, we must understand that we are on traditional homelands and unceded territories of indigenous peoples. Where we live in Lincoln County, these are the ancestral homelands for the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians. Lincoln County School District acknowledges the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians that consists of over 30 bands originating from Northern California to Southern Washington. The Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians currently occupy and manage 9,310 acres located here in Lincoln County, but this is a mere fraction of their original 1855 1.1 million acre Siletz coastal reservation. We must remember the people of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians are and will forever be the first stewards of this land, water, and fish. We acknowledge and recognize the continued sovereignty of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians and honor their ancestral homelands. We are committed to bringing awareness to their history and the existence of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians since time immemorial.
Thank you so much. At this time, we'll establish a quorum. Roll call: Megan Colley. Yep. Peter Vinci. Yep. Cynthia McKinley. Yep. Mike Rawls. Here. Jetlag Liz Martin. Here. I'm here. I am here. Do we have any introductions tonight?
Well, just super happy to see all the people here tonight. I'm sure this is everybody's here, and in particular super happy to see the superintendent of Lynn Benton Lincoln ESD, Tanya Everest, who is here in the front row, and we'll get to hear from her later, and very excited to see what the students are going to produce tonight.
Thank you so much. Communications. Ask anyone that wants to talk tonight. We have any blue cards tonight?
No blue cards and no written communication.
All right, thank you so much. Did you?
Actually,
you have one?
I do.
Yes,
I do.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Eddie. So today it was just lovely, and I'll pass this down to the board, that the city of Newport, in its last meeting, I think last night, proclaimed that the city of Newport recognized the year of 2023 as the 100th year celebration of the Lincoln County School District. So this is our centennial. In 1923, our school district became a district, and now it's 2023. You can see the billboards up in town and some different things we've done. We have a centennial committee and the beautiful banners in English and Spanish on our buildings. And Dietmar Goebel, who is one of the council members, wanted to make sure that we knew that they made that proclamation in their city council meeting. So we have a beautiful certificate, which we will frame. We're also due to have our proclamation read in the Depot Bay City Council, also in Lincoln City, in Toledo, and we hope to also be able to do that in Walport and in Yachats and Siletz.
Awesome. It's beautiful. It's something we want to share with all of the communities. So thank you so much. So I think that'll take care of the recognition. At this time, now we'll hear from Peter, a representative from LCEA. Good evening.
Yeah, folks.
Good evening.
Well, the weather's changed, hasn't it? I mean, today it was snow, sleet, sun, repeat, whatever, 4 or 5 minutes. So the school year's moving along. We had parent teachers conferences last month. That's always a good time for parents and teachers to get together, figure out how their kids are doing. Teachers continue to work very hard. We're starting to see progress, but we're also noticing that we still have large holes in students' education due to the last couple of years. So that's an important thing. Rigor, as you always know, is a very, very important thing, but also emotional growth is just as important. And so we have that balancing act that we try to do every day. How do we get both? And then, we got a whole group of different seniors this time, because these are these seniors have been back, but they have their own struggles. As we all know, a couple of months, we're going to start bargaining. And that's an important thing for all of us to remember. And we have an election tonight. I think that's going to change a few things. And I think we're all going to have to work together to see how that works out. As usual, teachers continue to do what they do best, which is teach, work hard, and inspire their students to learn and grow as beings. So I'll see you guys next month, and happy holiday. Be well.
Thank you so much. Happy holidays to you.
We are going to do a little change in the agenda, and this time we're going to hear from Rich Baloney. Because he can't stay with till the end of the meeting. Oh, whoops, sorry, Rich. My friend.
So I'm here to ask you to allow me to put on the agenda a public hearing at the next board meeting to talk about CMGC. We advertise in the Daily Journal of Commerce to the world and say we'd like to do CMGC for, and this is for the Equiniview seismic for this summer. And so it's a fairly short timeline. So it seems like a lot, but with all everything you got to hit, it takes about 6 months to get everything out. And so I'd like to have you allow me to be on the agenda next month and have a public hearing. And we'll have the reasoning why, our findings of fact, why we ought to be able to do CMGC. It'll be open, and if people don't want to do that, then they can come to the board and explain why, and then we can make a decision from there. It's by law, we have to do this.
So there's nothing more we need to do with it. Okay, we'll make sure it gets on the agenda, Rich, and thank you. Thank you for, I know you're busy and I appreciate all that you do. Thank you. And I believe now we will hear from our Wallport, Mike, Gav, and Sandy. Good evening. Nice to see you both. School looks awesome, as always. Favorite school?
Well, thank you all for coming to the South County and welcome. We are fortunate that we have great facilities, and we have a great crew, and Bobby Forsty and Dan, our night custodian. I got to give a special shout out to Tim Kaufman for getting us back on cycle with our fire safety system that turned into about a 6 or 8 month program, but we appreciate all he did to make sure that got put back together and really never interrupted our schooling, except for a day that was probably needed to happen. So Crestview this year, we are at 278 students. That's up about 40 from last year.
Awesome.
One of the things that we have done is also diminish the number of people choosing to homeschool. Some of that is through attrition going to up in the grades, but we have done a good job of offering a good option for people that look for choice. And so people are choosing to come back. We've gotten some neighboring district folks back as well. We really put a lot, and you'll see tonight here in just a minute, of effort into our music and band and choir this year. We have band and choir for 5th and 6th grade. So, you know, as we take on that endeavor, we appreciate the board's support and Dr. Gray's leadership in working with the music staff in the district to really create that fine arts aspect. In a small community, that's always tough, but we have some great partnerships going with Tim Chase next door at Waldport High. And so we're doing some cooperative concerts and different things this year as part of our opportunities. We're also working with the Children's Institute this year in our early childhood area, along with Toledo. And so we have 6 staff that are working with us on that endeavor, really looking at the vertical of pre-K through 2nd grade. And so we're in our 2nd year of that. That's brought some resources to our school community in those lower grades, and some connections across the state as we look at other early childhood programs and just kind of build that culture of pre-K all the way through 6 in our community and in the community that Sandy and I serve. Our preschool is at capacity with a wait list.
Awesome.
So you will hear me always lobby for more early childhood opportunities in the South County. And I think that, you know, as we look at what the economic development crew is going to do over here in the college building, you know, at some point I need to go over and break in and talk to those folks about part of economic development is really having a place for folks to send their kids during the day, and that early childhood can serve as a really good stimulus for economic development in the community, especially particularly in South County. So that's always playing in the back of my brain. We had 91% parent conferences. You heard attendance at parent conferences. You heard Peter talk about that. We always go for 100, but I'll take 91 every time, and our teachers do a great job of scheduling that. As part of our centennial celebration, we had a big balloon arch that as people came in, they could get their picture taken. And I think our record was 4 generations. So we had 4 generations at one group that got their picture taken, which was very fun.
Had centennial.
Yeah, it was part of our centennial celebration.
Could you send us one of those pictures? I would love to see that.
Yeah, Dr. Gray has that.
Yeah, Mike said it too.
Field trips and assemblies are coming back. We've had a group out to the aquarium today. A learning coming out of COVID. We didn't realize when we had our first assembly this year that our K-1-2s had never been to an assembly. It looked kind of crazy. And the firemen had not been in front of a crowd in 2-3 years. So so it was appropriate. It was a fire assembly, as we call it, but that was a learning for us that we just had not processed. Our area service coordinators, we have Iran, who works with Sandy Mummy. Those folks are helping us more than I ever thought possible. They're closing a lot of gaps for us as our services diminish in the educational arena. They're now picking up that slack and making those community connections across families and connecting to community services. So they have taken a ton of work off of our plates as far as, you know, that legwork of getting counseling appointments, getting people connected. And our particular person is doing a tremendous job. And then kind of the final piece is I've officially submitted my letter this fall to retire. And so you'll see over the course of the year a transitional leadership at Crestview. Sandy has been honored with replacing me, which won't be hard. She does a tremendous job. And so tonight I wanted her to share some of the vision stuff that she's been working on with our staff. And we're really running a co-principal opportunity here. And so you'll see me step back from a lot of things and take on some lesser roles and push her out in front a little bit to kind of test those wings. So tonight's one of those nights. Go for it.
Thank you.
Thanks,
So I passed this out to you guys here, and it's kind of what we call an overview of Crestview. And something that Mike and I have really been working on the last couple of years is shared leadership with our staff and really empowering our staff to play a role in changing this place to be what we want it to be and finding success for our students. So we have our comprehensive improvement plan from the district, and that helps us create our school improvement plan here. And of course, our two focuses are graduation and attendance. And with that, we've created school improvement teams at Crestview. We have a number of them. All of our certified staff serve on one, and all of our classified staff are welcome. And we have a number of them serving on different teams. And they all created action plans. So they kind of surveyed our staff to see what are some of the things that they want to focus on, and they created action plans. Everyone chose about 2 or 3 main focuses for their school improvement team. So we have our tier 1 team that focuses on behavior and attendance. We have our MTSS that focuses on our academics. We have our family and community engagement that we're so excited to kind of have events happening again and being in person and getting those started again. And they all meet once a month and they carry out the action plan and the things that we do at Crestview. And it's been a really big shift this year, and you can feel it when we have our PD Wednesdays, and that's being run by our teams who have spoken with their colleagues to see what our needs are and plan these PDs that we have for each other, and just really empowering our staff to take that active role and that shared leadership role. And so this here's just kind of an overview of the teams that we have. They have links in this, that each action plan has a link in the minutes, and it's all there for all of our staff to look through.
Questions on any of that?
I just like how the involvement you're getting from everyone at the school. I mean, to me, that's everyone has a,
Plays a role, and it's
yeah.
really looking at the connectedness. Also, sometimes we feel like everything is its own silo. And so when we play it out this way, and we can really see how everything's connected and supports each other, and just kind of that through line and that theme of all the different teams. And the work that we're doing just really supports that graduation and attendance is our ultimate goals.
I think it speaks to our efforts to be efficient because we're small. So we've got to still cover all the bases that are out there, but you do it with half as many people as some other schools. So we had to come up with a way to like wrap our brains around it.
That's a good point.
All right, now it's showtime.
Anybody have any questions?
What's that?
No,
Questions?
Yeah.
Thank you.
yeah, I
Thank
know
you
that was a
for,
good part.
Yeah.
thank you for this. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we'll bring Sam Bullock up. He's our music teacher. And we have some students that actually last year we had started a guitar club. And so they have a particular song that I requested, and if they can pull it off, I owe them like a soda. We'll see if they come through for me.
They told me you said $1 a piece.
They're not allowed to ruin their amateur status.
Principal Gas, let's make sure to introduce our teachers
Sure.
and each of our students, which would be lovely.
Oh,
So Sam, I'll have you introduce students. We have Tim Chase from our high school, middle school. And Sam Bullock is our elementary. And he actually takes on preschool once in a while.
So this is our after-school optional guitar club. This is my group of kiddos that have been doing it for their second year. So this is Jonah, Logan, and Noah. And they chose tonight's song for you guys, plus our special tribute to Mr. Yes. And so we're going to be performing the song Radioactive by Imagine Dragons. So we really hope you enjoy. We have some added support from our secondary music teacher as well, Mr. Chase, who these guys will have next year. So without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and play Radio.
2, 1, go. Yeah.
All right. Awesome job.
Appreciate it.
Awesome job, you guys.
Thank you, teachers. Thank you, students. Awesome job. Thank you, parents, for coming tonight and watching your children play.
Great job.
How fun
That's
is that?
fun. Good choice of music. Good evening, Kim. Nice.
Hello.
You always get to come in
No, I
after
need
the
to talk to
kids.
Eddie
don't
about
you?
this. We had a different spot on the agenda.
No, I mean,
Like, here's
seriously.
Kim.
And financial.
Yeah, for something totally different.
Money. Yeah.
Anyway, good evening. Nice to have you here.
Thank you. So I have updated the financials as of October 31st. I'm looking at the general fund revenue and expenditure summary. Mostly I want to talk about the ADM. The numbers that are on there we've been going back and forth, as you know. We have a new student information system that is giving us reports that we're unfamiliar with. So it's a matter of learning which reports are accurate for what we're used to looking at. And also during September, this was our second year with using Synergy for registration. So in the spring, we rolled everyone forward. And over the summer, if the parents didn't come in and tell us that the students weren't coming back, that they've moved, or we haven't gotten a request from the other school district asking to transfer the records yet, then they were still in the system. And so some of the early numbers were a lot higher than actual. Once everything gets filtered out, cleaned up, all of the data in our system gets cleaned up, and other districts as well, you know, them asking for the records that they need, then that number becomes quite a bit lower. I budgeted at 5,102 students. And the latest updated report I've got, which I believe is fairly correct, is going to be for October, it will be 5,120 students for month to date, and 5,112 for year to date ADM as of October 31st. So about 10 students off from what I budgeted. So
Pretty close. I was gonna say, I don't know how
It
you
is.
did that.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
got lucky. And the way I do those projections is I just roll forward the grades forward. You drop off 12th grade, add an estimate for kindergarten. And, you know, if there are other assumptions that we know about, then we'll add those in as well. Then our anticipated ending fund balance at this point, you know, it's early in the year, but we are up already because, you know, we are underspending in payroll, which is about 80% of our budget. So about 8.6 million of that is our contingency and our unappropriated ending fund balance. Then on to the monthly comparison. I want to point out again on the interest on investments, the segregated interest has not been posted yet because we're still working on audit. Expect the auditors to begin our financials next week. So we should be pretty close to rolling our balances, and then we'll be able to get that number updated. And as well on the previous page, I will be updating July through October. We have found some corrections that need to be made. So I'll do all of those once we are done with all of them after audit. Our county school fund and state timber, you can see there's some amounts there. We expected those either in November or December. They were paid early this time, about half of what I had budgeted. So that was unexpected, just a timing difference. remember the projected numbers are based on a 6-year average of when we've received those amounts in the past. And then on the expenditures, you can see we're continuing to underspend in most of the categories. And then you can see the Indigenous Peoples Fund and the Music Fund transfer that you approved last board meeting.
Kim, I have a quick
Mhm.
question here on that underspending monthly. I look back at September and there was underspending then also. Is that typical?
It is in our benefits for sure, because we have people that don't take full benefits.
Okay, and you have to
especially if
budget
they're
for,
double covered. We have to budget as if everybody's going to take
okay,
the benefits, because if everybody did take the benefits, we have to have the appropriations to be able to spend that money. So that is typical there. We are, again, like I said, underspending on salaries because we have open positions. And again, that's a 6-year average. So COVID numbers are in there, so that's skewed a little bit as well. It's just a reference point for you though. Purchase services, the professional instruction services line, you can see that's doubled. That's because we had subs in September. So about 17,000 of that is for subs. And then transportation, again, that's a September transportation bill. Special revenue funds, remember that the ones with the 3 asterisks are reimbursement grants, so those will run in the negative most of the year. And that's a normal thing. We will get reimbursed for those after the fact. In the technology fund, you'll see there's $98,000 in local revenue, and that is E-rate money that we got for our best Wi-Fi for 21-22, the bulk of that. And that fund as well will have, you can see we've budgeted a $1.5 million transfer. We've also budgeted transfers that we haven't asked for yet, $1 million for curriculum, $1 million for property purchases, and like I said, the 1.5 million for tech. You'll likely see those requests to be transferred next month. I want to wait until we have a final ending fund balance after the audit. And then we also, remember, we have $3 million in contingency still.
And you expect the audit to be
Done.
December, we'll have a report.
Okay.
Yes, the
Okay.
report will be at the December meeting. Bills and claims, you can see we spent some money on our cafeterias as we reported last month. If you remember at Toledo Elementary, you saw that cafeteria tables, that's the top line. We have some non-E-rate network and wireless projects to finish up those projects for Ednetics, so that will be fully updated across the district. Some software expenses, and you can see the TLC intercom system was purchased. I'm not sure of the timeline for that installation. That would be a rich question. And then some expenses for the Quinnipiac Gymnasium was involved, as well as our normal contracted costs. And on the investment report, our interest rates are still going up, and they will be up again next month as well.
That looks good to me. Anyone have any questions for Kim? Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay, you all should have a copy of a written report from First Student. Is there anyone here from First Student? I see you back there. Hello, hello.
She's in bright orange.
I read your report. It looks like our numbers are staying pretty close to the same. We're still short 21 drivers.
right. The last paragraph actually says that.
Why don't you come on up, Darlene?
Okay.
We like to see you,
This is
Darlene.
Van Riper, our local manager.
Thank
for
you.
First Student.
Thank you.
So, The last paragraph actually talks about somebody who was in training and actually was supposed to test out and he passed, so we gained 2 drivers within the last 2 weeks. One upgraded from a van driver to a CDLC driver and then a brand new CDL driver. So that's what I wanted to add to this.
I know every person counts at this point, so.
Yes.
And again, thank you to you and your staff that take time to keep this.
We got to do what we got to do to get the kids to school.
This kids here, yeah.
I would say also adding to that, Chair Martin, I just can't say enough about Darlene. Stuff comes to her from some folks in the community, things that would fell a strong person. I mean, they're hard things to deal with. She knows what I mean. And we work really closely with First Student, and Darlene is always there, making these excellent strategic decisions around communication that just are incredibly professional. Also, we've had some conversation recently about some issues around the number of bus drivers we have to the number of routes we have. And she's come forward with a couple of good strategies in the wing and asked for a meeting. We sat down at the meeting and talked them through. So there's no changes yet, but we're in a real pickle where it comes to the number of routes we have and the number of drivers we have. And every time she adds a driver, someone quits. And this is, or they move. And this is happening in all of our staffing. People come for 5 minutes and they're gone. In every level of our staffing this year, it's been really hard. So I just want to say hats off to Darlene for keeping the ship afloat. She and Kim in the north and Lisa, I mean, they are working it to make sure that our kids get picked up safely, accurately, and then get home the same way. So I just want to thank you for all your hard work.
You're absolutely welcome. It's our pleasure. It might not always seem like it, but it is our pleasure to take the kids where they need to be. So,
Your heart in it.
any other questions?
Yeah, Darlene, I just have a comment.
Yes.
I was reading about the student behavior that you guys are dealing with, and I really appreciated the incorporation of PBIS and kind of fronting up the drivers with that system, because that's what we're using in the schools, and so it's got to be the same. And I really appreciate that effort.
Yeah, it's not very easy because a lot of our drivers are older and they're not very familiar with PBIS, and that's not how they were brought up. So buying into it, it takes that little extra push and that repetitive introduction to the PBIS for them. So absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. Great comment. Anybody have anything? All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. If you want to go on, you can go. I think that's a dandy idea. Thank you so much. We're very fortunate tonight to have with us Tanya Evers. She's the superintendent of Lynn Benton and Lincoln County's ESD district. So good evening. Nice to have you here.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. So I just came this evening to let you know that it's our pleasure to serve this school district. And so in your packet is an overview of our tier 1 services. We're currently in the process of working with superintendents to we redo the agreement every 2 years, and then we do the resolution every year. But this is the time to look deeply at our programming and our services and to ask the school districts, is this what you need? And how can we serve you? And what are some ideas that we can float that and that we could do a little research for you that would be helpful. And so we're in that process. And so we have a meeting coming up in another week where we'll visit it again. And so eventually you will see the brand new local service plan in front of you at the beginning of the year to approve after our superintendents have approved and my board has approved, and then we'll ask each individual component district to approve too. And I just want to say that I'm very appreciative. I hadn't been able to tell the board this of the partnership that we had with Lincoln County School District, with Rich Baloney and Karen and just the community and your school crew that helped us pull off that remodeling in addition to the Sam Case Elementary School. I mean, our communities need more places for our youngest learners. And so feel really great about that partnership. And then I also want to acknowledge that Dr. Gray really was a visionary in her patience and her steadfastness as we looked at our student information system deeply. We were slow and thoughtful about it. She was a little faster and, but we needed to bring everybody along. And it's a big lift that we are all moving to Synergy, as all 12 districts are. It's pretty exciting. My phone is full of texts because I sent staff to the Synergy conference last week. And Nancy Griffith, who Karen knows very well, just kept sending me chats saying, this is an amazing tool. The teachers are going to love it. Once they get over the hurdle of learning something new, it's going to be a powerful tool. So, so just thank you for that. Yeah. Any questions from the board about our services, ESD? Go ahead.
So I noticed on one of the pages, you highlight your new teacher mentor program, and I was just curious about how that works with our mentoring program, because I was a teacher and I would have, I did have some mentors, but no, there was no formal system for that. And I'm so glad in the last, 10 or 15 years that's become a part of school districts. And I'm very supportive of that. And I was just curious about how that's dovetailing with our efforts.
Well, I can let Karen speak to this too, but Lincoln County School District actually had a mentorship program before the region had one. And then the grant funding got reappropriated to something different. And so we then, as the ESD, received Student Success Act dollars. And so we get to choose how those dollars are spent to support our school districts. And this is one of the programs we're still in some fairly infancy of developing, but the whole point is throughout our system across our 3 counties is that we develop an actual system that builds capacity inside every school district to develop teacher mentor programs that are supportive of local needs. And so that's what we're working on. And I have a dynamic duo who are just amazing. And I don't know if you have anything to add, but
I was just going to say that I think it's really a critical support system for new teachers, and if we're concerned about retention of teachers, that's one avenue among others to make sure that they develop, like you said, capacity. I love that word, capacity. So,
did you have a second question?
I did.
Okay.
One thing that I noticed, I scanned through all the different school districts. And I was noticing a huge difference in ADMW in some school districts. And I was just curious about why that happened.
Well, we're in the process right now, and we'll get, Kim sort of alluded to it. We're going to be watching this very closely because the new biennium and the new legislative session is coming. And so we need to really clearly understand where our kids are. And we don't fully know where all of the students have gone. And this is across our 3 counties. And some communities, it's even more like Corvallis School District, for example, their enrollment is really down and they don't foresee it coming back up to pre-pandemic numbers. Other communities are starting to thrive a little bit more, and you can just see it if you drive into the valley. Monroe School District, which I'm so happy for them. They have a lovely little school district, and that the people have found them is wonderful. But yes, we are not to pre-pandemic numbers yet.
Today at the off the record meeting for superintendents, probably you were there. It is still 25 to 30,000 kids missing
Yes.
out of Oregon. So our school district hasn't recovered.
No.
I was hoping that we were kind of, because people have discovered Toledo, and all of a sudden, you know, the numbers at Toledo Elementary and even Toledo Junior Senior High, those numbers are much better than they were last year. But the numbers in our K-12 online school, as with all online schools throughout the state, I'm on a remote learning committee. They have gone way down.
Yes, way down.
In all the online schools,
Mhm.
and ours included. You know, it's still at a good number. It's 168, but you know,
Yeah.
we were at 268 last year.
So one of the things our ESD, all ESDs are charged with receiving and tracking homeschool students. And our ESD is considered a model from Oregon Department of Education. So we are regularly consulted by them, you know, and I can tell you that we don't know where those 25,000 students are. They did not all go to homeschooling. And they did not, and they're leaving online schooling. And they have not rejoined us in public schools yet. And so I was really pleased to hear tonight that you are able to recapture some of your homeschool students and offer those families services that our public dollars provide. But it's a real concern.
Particularly in Walport, also with some changes at Alsea School District, and what they've done to reignite themselves there under the leadership of their new superintendent, who's just doing a fantastic job and kind of reckoning what happened in that district. I would say we've gotten kids back from Alsea and Walport as well. This is not our pre-pandemic number, but it's within 30 of it. So we've actually regained some students back. I wanted to mention two things before we let Superintendent Everest go. She had the foresight to have us present at one of our retreats regarding the Center for Educational Leadership. And the board knows about that work, and that's work we've done for the last 3 years with the University of Washington, Seattle. And that's really work we do with our administrative team, and it's visionary work. So we brought that to the entire VISA Council of Superintendents. And now through our work with the ESD, we're doing Center for Educational Leadership work, or Tanya is, with all school districts in our ESD. And we've had several new administrators be able to join those ranks and be able to kind of do a catch up on CEL, because now we're doing a lot more specific work because we're in our 3rd year. Would you talk just a little bit about that to the board?
Yes, absolutely. So the CEL is, you know, one of the premier opportunities for leaders. You know, teachers are the most influential in a student's education career. Next are the leaders of their schools. And so those leaders need support in learning how to ignite innovation in their schools, give feedback to teachers, collaborate professionally with them. And so the Center for Educational Leadership provides a structure for learning that. And we were able to use our Student Success Act dollars. You know, it's one of those choices that the superintendents have. They had choice in terms of how to spend their funding, and they see the value in that. And I went through CEL training many years ago. It has evolved. And this strong equity piece that it has is really important that they have now. And yeah, I'm just pleased that we're able to convene that for the whole region. And so
Our leader, Jen McDermott, is the one who came and presented at our retreat, and everybody just loved her.
I believe the walkthrough here just a few weeks ago was in your school district.
Absolutely. Your walkthrough was in our school.
Yeah.
district. It was brilliant. In our school district, Dr. Tiana DeVries is in charge of the CEO work, our HR director. And the other thing I wanted to say, and I say this, I won't even equivocate this, is that Tanya Everest is my favorite ESD superintendent I've ever had. And I've had a few, and we won't go there, but she is 100% the only one I've ever worked with that ever really listened to the superintendents and didn't attach to anything. She was completely and has been completely unattached to anything that is like hers and the way she does it in her ESD. It's all been what we have talked about, even hard conversations, and we've had them. She is willing to serve the school districts, even when in kind of peril to your own programs you've developed. That happened with Synergy, but she listened, she got a consultant to do a fabulous job of evaluating that program and the tech programs. And she came to the right decision, even though, like I said, at peril to herself. So I just say it because I think it needs to be said. She does a fabulous job of leading us as the LBL ESD superintendent. And I appreciate being in an ESD with you. You're just a fantastic partner. Us girls got to stay together too.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. You know, I've always thought the ESDs were kind of this out there, didn't know anything about it, but we kind of knew if we needed something, we knocked on your door. So with you at the helm, all of a sudden in the last 2 or 3 years,
5.
but you've opened the door now so we can see all the services that are provided, and again, how Karen was saying how we can work together. And so I really appreciate it because, like I said before, it was kind of like an unknown quantity out there that I knew was there, but I didn't really know what was in there. So like your packet tonight and the way you've explained things, I really appreciate.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think the important thing is it's that the heart of what I do and why I lead the way I lead is it's not about me, it's about the kids, you know.
Yeah, you live that.
Got it. We all live that.
That's what that means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Have a good evening. Appreciate you coming tonight.
Absolutely. Yeah, drive safe.
Yeah. We'll have switch over to board reports now. Since I was gone a little bit of the time, I did want to say I was quite impressed with our luncheon at Newport Middle School. That Sodexo was trying out a new program, and it was the quality of the food and the way it was presented was just fantastic. And my hope is that all schools will be able to enjoy that meal program as well. So I know that's kind of what they're striving for. So I think we all got surveys to fill, and I hope that everyone did return that survey to Sodexo as they had asked. So I'll send it to you, Peter.
Yeah, I was sorry that I missed that. So Boomer football made it to playoffs, and by defeating Taft.
Yikes.
Yep, I won't say anything there. But they lost to Colton last week. I didn't make it to the Newport Middle School lunch, but I did have lunch at Toledo Elementary School, and I found out that 3rd grade teacher Patrick Limbert is a rock star for those kids. I got to have chats with some kids. I'm continuing to mentor some Aspire students at Toledo High. I've got 6 on my list, and we could use additional mentors. I'm sure all the areas could use them as well. I've been volunteering a little bit with the video prod program there and helping students kind of navigate the TriCaster, this really fancy bit of equipment. And then I went to the Toledo Trunk or Treat on Main Street and gave out 500 centennial stickers along with some candy. It was a lot of fun. I think they had 1,000 people on over the course of the 3:30 to 6:30. It was a lot of fun. Kids were having great times. It was great seeing families all together, and it was a great community event.
Non-retired board member, I continue to work greater than full-time and I have very little to personally report. I did not go to any Halloween things. I was not able to attend that luncheon. It appears the Taft lost in football. I'm sorry, I am the underachiever. I don't have a ton to say about North County. Anyway.
I went to the luncheon over at middle school and I really enjoyed it. I thought that quite an improvement of what I remember from a few years ago. I spoke to a young lady at church and asked her about the exact same program up there in middle school, and she said that she really liked it a lot. So it was nice to get input that kind of justify what I felt. So great job to the people that set that up.
I've been totally decided to skip school for 4 weeks. But I have been busy connecting with some of our law students in town at the Literacy Center. We've been doing some tutoring with some of the homeschooling and hoping that we can redirect them to come back to school.
Awesome.
So we're working with the parents. This month is Family Literacy Month, so we've been doing we're planning a big celebration to at least drive around and meet with some of these folks, bring the kids back to school.
Centennial, you're always on duty. We know that. Wherever you are, you're on duty. So anyway, all right. Thank you so much. We'll go ahead and move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you very much. So we have a first reading, second set. Those were delivered to you when you got your notice of the meeting and your board book premiere. In addition, there is a second set summary, which comes from Oregon School Boards Association. It's a service that we pay for. I don't think anything was very jaw-dropping in this group. I would point out IKF, we do all the time. That's graduation, and they just continue to make improvements. I believe there are improvements in that policy. And policy EFA, which is the wellness policy, had a lot of discussion with our business director, food services director, regarding wellness and just how far to take our policies. There are things that are required and things that are not required. And so we are much more moderate in our approach, and I like the approach. So this will be open for any conversation between now and December 13th, which is our next board meeting. Please be sure to email the superintendent and board chair any questions that you have regarding any of the policy changes. Policy changes are in gray. Sometimes you see my scribble on them because I'm adding some thoughts to it. But in general, it's really only the policies. They're changed because the law has changed. And I don't really have much latitude on these. These are required. So not much choice. Any questions so far?
I noticed that you had quite a lot of markup on the EFA.
We did indeed, and that was mostly reflecting of Kim Cusick's steady hand in understanding that policy, and a very good discussion that we ended up having. So I'm super pleased with it.
I think the summaries are quite helpful.
Incredibly helpful. And they're helpful for several reasons, because they tell you what the reason is for the change. They tell you what the impact to the teacher bargaining could be. In most cases, these have no impact. They give you just the bare bones of why this is changing and how it came about. I can't really improve on it.
I have a question about
Yes.
the restraint policy.
Yes.
You indicate that the training program that we use is NCI. What
Yes.
is that acronym? Do you know?
I am not sure.
Okay.
Susan Van Loo is in the audience. I saw her. Oh, I thought she was like sitting behind someone.
Nonviolent crisis intervention.
Thank you so much. I just know NCI and I was happy to remember the 3 letters correctly.
Thank
But
you.
very good. And of course, anytime the board would like, we can give a presentation on what that means. Used to have a different acronym, but now we use NCI. And I think that's a great question. Anytime I get into those acronyms, just clock me on it. Moving on to Federal School Improvement, Oregon Department of Ed update. You have a copy of this in your folder. I want to say how incredibly proud I am of receiving this document. This document sat next to my arm for a week. I almost wanted to take it home and maybe put it under my pillow, along with my cell phone. I just want to explain that 5 years ago, when I first took on the job as superintendent in Lincoln County School District, we were recognized for school improvement that needed to be made in the district. You could, and then they changed it. You could be either targeted school improvement or comprehensive school improvement, targeted or comprehensive. And they informed me on October 31st, and I'm going to read them to you one at a time, that we have exited status. Exited status means it's used as part of the process to exit schools who demonstrated enough progress to not be identified this fall. Exiting school will have access to a final allocation of money previously designated ESSA partnerships through September 30th of 2023, which means we'll get some more money because we got some money for this school improvement, because you don't pull the rug out from under people that are doing well. But because of the work that everyone has done here, even through COVID, we never stopped working. And because of that, Eddyville Charter School was targeted, exited now. Lincoln City Career Tech High School was comprehensive, exited now. Newport Middle School was targeted, exited now. Sam Case Elementary School was targeted, exited now. Taft Elementary School, targeted, exited now. Taft High School, targeted, now exited. Taft Middle School, they break them up. Targeted, now exited. Toledo Elementary School, targeted, now exited. Toledo Junior High, targeted, now exited. We have still 3 areas in which we are still, for 2 of our schools, still targeted and needing some improvement. They are located in your report. Siletz Valley was the only charter school that used to be targeted and is now re-identified as comprehensive, meaning they have some work to do. Newport High School was targeted, is still targeted, and there are reasons for that, which I don't want to go into this evening. They still are re-identified, meaning they still have some work to do, and they'll get some money to do that. They're close. And Walport Middle was targeted, is still targeted, re-identified, and they will receive some money also to be able to continue their work. But we have something to be immensely proud of. And I don't know, I hope that others in this room are able to understand what it means to be completely identified for school improvement and be roughly 90% out of that improvement. And that's because we worked it. We knew what we were doing, and no matter what happened, we worked it for kids. This is about kid performance. All I can say is, man, I'm super proud.
When I read that.
Me neither. I read it twice. I thought, what are you looking at? It doesn't mean we don't keep working. It doesn't mean we don't have a ways to go. But it does mean we're on the right track. And if we're on the right track, that's the track we should stay on. And the board has supported us every step of the way in this last 5-year journey. And I tell you, it takes a village full of villagers to make this happen for kids in community. And I'm very, very proud of Lincoln County School District.
Good leadership.
Well, great people. We have wonderful people. So that was that. That just makes my heart sing. Let me get back to my agenda. Just a second. Yes, my computer goes off and then I have to reboot it. So Lincoln County School District also, through amazing work over the last 3 years and a presentation they are giving to Oregon school boards on Saturday, passed its first equity tool. And so we needed an equity lens communication plan, a plan that was largely developed by the equity team at an equity team meeting and then reviewed with all of the administration last week in our all admin meeting. We determined to meet with staff first to make sure that staff understands the reasoning behind and the basic properties of our equity tool policy AAA. And then we determined that we do need to have good conversation with our students. They are our client. Families, both English speaking and non-English speaking, need to know about the equity lens and what it does and what it doesn't do. The general community, which is community-based organizations, and also municipalities, businesses, and other nonprofits, such as OCCC, OSU, and the hospital. So this gives a pretty detailed description of the event, the timeline, the key messages, the channels for communication, feedback mechanisms, and responsible owners of this communication plan. And we offer this to the school board as information as to how we plan from November of 2022 to June of 2023 to communicate with those in Lincoln County about our equity tool and how it's going to be used. Is that making sense?
It does. I mean, and this is exactly what we had asked for, I believe.
Yes, it is.
When we looked at the plan. It's just how it was going to be implemented. But so my question to you is, when do we revisit this again? How often are we going to be looking at it, just as a check-in to see? That's a great question. You know, where we're at, where we're, you know.
As far as the superintendent and board review, what is your pleasure? That's a board decision.
Seems to me there are several steps that we're going to be progressing through. So we've did all the pre-work on the equity policy. We've passed the equity policy. Next step, we're going to be moving into the communications of it.
Yes.
And then beyond that is several levels of implementation. So it would seem like that would be a good stopping point between hearing about how the communication went out and then what the plan for implementation is specifically.
Good. Would the board suggest that this is on the agenda monthly for the next 6 months, 7 months?
I would say either monthly or bi-monthly.
Bi-monthly is fine.
I just think it makes
Bi-monthly is better.
okay, everyone,
Got it.
And I know the stages are going to overlap a little bit.
Oh, they are
Yeah.
quite, yeah. We just wanted to be super, super clear that staff, students, and families have got to come first. And we want the understanding to be a consistent message and not too much riffing on the message. In other words, like speak it the way it is. And I think we got some great ideas from the administration on our all admin meeting, some great questions about it. And we're going to continue to talk about it at those meetings as well. How do you guys feel about every other month? Santila, are you all right with that?
Yes, I also would like to have kind of a community forum sometime, so we can show the community what
Beautiful.
it is available for.
I would really invite the board when I'm in your neighborhood. If you guys could think about trying to show up for that, it would be great. You know, we're also, my responsibility is to bring it to the city, to the county, to EDALC, you know, to all the things I'm involved in. I don't ask anybody else to do that. But for, you know, the forums that come out and we're going to do this in the community, it's really important that the board
We'll be
members show up. Yeah,
We'll be there.
that'd be great. We'll give you plenty of advance notice.
It's really exciting.
It's great.
To me, it just makes what we're doing that much more genuine.
It does. It makes it real to me.
Mhm.
Thank you for that support. I appreciate that very
Well,
much.
thank you. I think you've got a lot done in a short amount of time. And I'm really excited to present on Saturday all the hard work that you guys have done, and really proud of.
I see Marty's little head poking out there.
Really proud of it.
Sandy.
Yeah,
So
thank
Sandy,
you.
Marty and Tiana, they are our district team and they have a whole plan for the year, and they've just been tremendous facilitators of this process. And then Marty, of course, co-chairs the equity team and has shown tremendous leadership. Everybody in this room is an equity supporter, and they've really, their hearts and souls have been in it, and they've really participated. It's been a labor of love.
Thank you for trusting us to make a presentation on all your hard work.
No, your hard work too. You guys are the ones that stand behind this, because it's your policy. And it sits in the board section of the policy manual. So I'm super proud of us and the work that we're
It's
doing.
like everything else is not the finished products, is how we change if we're going through the process.
Yeah, we
So
say this.
I'm
is just the
hoping that
starting
this is
line.
not the end. This is just a beginning of a process for us to get to a better place.
Most certainly. So now I'll move on to the next portion, which is the property update. And this is what I would like to say about that. Due to confusion regarding the final property deal, we put the Wallport's property sale on pause. Our intention is to have the board meet again and reevaluate the property for purpose and sale price. And sometime in the new year to put it back on the market. Our intention is to sell it. But our process became very confused, and that kind of confusion is not good for school districts. And so we needed to put it on pause. We're clear that the sale of the property needs to benefit the community. And we have to be clear that we are benefiting the community of Wallport when that property is sold. It needs to be sold appropriately. So that's the statement I would give you. In addition, the school district is looking at purchasing a property in South Beach, just south of the community college, about 35 acres. We have been researching and studying and meeting with people about this property for about a year and a half. And we are continuing to do our research on this property. The purpose of the purchase of the property would be in perpetuity, so that we would have a piece of land in Newport for all kinds of things for kids, including ideas around a new career technical program building, a new high school, a place for our forestry and natural resources programs to practice. We've got all kinds of ideas, and we have done a significant amount of research on this property. On October 25th, the member of the board visited the property. We'd like to take the rest of the board up to the property to walk around. It's about 35 acres, fantastically located just south of the community college. It abuts the community college. And it is one of 3 sub areas in the city of Newport's housing advisory plan that are infrastructure ready. And so there are 9 sub areas in these. This is one of 3 sub areas that are the most prized for being able to be developed. So we're pretty excited about this. And later on, we'll be asking the board to do something about that. So we've met with the city, we've met with the developer who is developing Wilder up there. And I think that's all I have to report. Board, is there anything else regarding either the pausing of the Wallport sale or the idea around purchasing South Beach property that you have for the superintendent?
If I could at this time, though, I think we'll just go ahead and call for a motion. Let me read the motion first, please.
Exciting.
Because you just wrote us a check for $1 million.
Well,
At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to appoint the superintendent to negotiate the potential property purchase of BGB property located in South Beach. Do I have such a motion?
Now you'd like.
Yes, now I would. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Rald. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Thank you.
thank you. And
So we'll just get that done while we're here. so.
And I just want to make a comment. Because one of the things that I was concerned about when we were talking about this was, are we taking money from our children to do this work? And it is not. So this money can only be spent in property. So
that is correct.
Thank
And what a great clarity. I'm so glad you brought that up, because this is not taking away anything from children at all. This is already in the past budget.
Thank you.
And I turn the mic back to you.
Great. Moving along, we'll look for motion to approve the consent calendar as published in this month's board agenda. Do I have such a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. I have a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Do you have any questions? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you.
I don't know. Let's moving along to action items, business services.
I wanted to note that the general fund transfer to Indigenous Peoples Funds, that happened last.
Yeah,
week.
we
That
took
should
care
have-
of that.
Okay, it should have come off, but
Sorry, it got left
that's
on there.
okay.
Because we're excited about it.
Yeah.
That's true.
I approved it twice.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, that.
So the budget calendar, I wanted to make sure that you saw that I had updated a couple of the dates in May at the suggestion of Dr. Gray, and I appreciate her bringing that up. We moved the delivery date of the proposed budget document to the 16th, and then moved the budget committee meetings forward a week as well, in order to give my staff time to get the budget document done. The last 2 years, we've needed that extra week, and I have new staff this year, so we are going to definitely need that. So hopefully you will approve it that way.
I don't think it was an issue before, so.
It still gives us plenty of time to adopt the budget.
All right. Anybody have any questions for Kim about the calendar? At this time, I'd entertain a motion to adopt the revised budget calendar as published in the November board agenda. Do I have such a motion?
I make a motion.
Thank you. Thank you, Cynthia. A second?
I'll second it.
Second. Questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Okay, we already took care of Rich.
The construction excise tax rate, it will need a vote from the board. We brought it up last time. It was a 2.5% increase.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to increase the construction excise tax as presented in the October and November board agenda.
Make the motion.
Thank you. Have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Okay. We have approval for a swim co-op between Walport High and Newport High School.
Shelley Moore is athletic director for Newport High School.
Thank you, Shelley. Thanks for, sorry to keep you out so late.
Oh, I'm super happy. Our grandson happens to live down here, so.
Oh, awesome.
It's my pleasure. Yes, I am the Director of Athletics and Assistant Principal at Newport High School. I'm here to request approval for an OSAA cooperative sponsorship between Newport High School and Walport High for swimming. In September, you approved a cooperative sponsorship between Newport High School and Toledo High School for swim, pending they hired a coach. And they did hire a coach, which we were really excited that that took place.
Cool.
So we canceled the cooperative sponsorship with Toledo High School. Walport High School has an athlete that is a swimmer and has prior swimming experience. As you know, they don't have an aquatic center here in Walport and thus don't offer swimming. So I have completed the initial paperwork via the OSAA forms portal, and the final step in completion is approval from the Lincoln County School Board. We're extremely hopeful that the co-op will be approved to further grow the sport of swim in our county and South County as well. The cooperative sponsorship will keep us within the 10% range for exception as voted on and passed by the OSAA Executive Board this year for ADM. And thank you very much for having us. And I'm here to answer any questions so we can get this.
Anybody have any questions? I think we kind of, since we just had done this before, we kind of got our questions out of the way. So we'll just go ahead and move it to a vote right now. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve a swim co-op between Walport High School and Newport High School.
I'll make that motion.
All right, now I have a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for all your hard work.
Oh, absolutely. Happy to.
Awesome. And we had
Her hard work.
These kids-
She was all over the place. I just have to say it out loud. I'm getting texts from, where were you, Shelley? You were like,
Well, I've been to Ontario and I've been to Madras. But,
Oh, gee.
you know,
like the same day.
Our boys also went to LeGrand on top of Madras in Ontario, so.
It's like, can they get any further apart?
No, they even run a different time zone.
I mean, I'm just like, Ontario.
We went to keep going. So.
That's cool. Well,
But pretty fabulous.
pretty
Go
proud of
Cubs.
all of our teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our teams were nuts this year. Just
Are the
everybody.
the girls soccer still playing? No.
No,
No, no.
they finished, they both ended on Saturday. They
Okay.
lost, to Gladstone.
Well, they had fantastic season, so amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Love to see it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Getting
Thank
ready
you
for the
so
next
much.
season.
All right. We have budget committee vacancies. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So I think we're all aware that we have two vacancies, and this just talks about where the districts lie, same as the school board vacancies. So we'll just go ahead and, if it's okay with you, move it to a motion to declare zones 2 and 3 of the Lincoln County School District Budget Committee as vacant. This is just something we need to do to so we can put them out for to be filled. So I will entertain a motion to declare the zones 2 and 3 budget committees as vacant. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. That was a third. And all those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you so much. It's getting late.
100th of a second.
It's gonna just say, it's just gonna say, Vince's flash walls.
Let's see, the seismic grant, we already took care of that. The SIA plan. So Kim will lead us through that, or Susan will. Thank you, Susan. Good evening.
Yes.
I would do it all, but I just wanted to know if you were also coming. Okay.
It's quite a report.
I can read numbers. I've done it.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you. We are here to talk about the SIA, and it's actually last year. So this is for the 21-22 school year, kind of a recap. And so most of it, like you already know, because we talked about it with you last year. And so you have in front of you the presentation, right? And the first few pages of that presentation are really the same as what they've been for 2 years around SIA. We still have the same 4 areas that we are doing things under. Are using the same community engagement process, and have all of those pieces outlined there. The big change, I think, starts on, I think it's slide 4. It's the investment account. And it talks about the money. Next one, that one. Yes. So do you want to talk about that one?
Our actual award for 21-22 was $4.3 million. That included $220,000 of pass-through for Eddyville Charter School. They were required to apply under our umbrella. Silet's Valley Charter School was able to apply on their own because of just some of the rules at the state level regarding their student population. So we revised our priorities and presented an updated plan to the board in October of 2021. And our grant agreement is posted out on the website. The original plan is there, the original grant agreement, as well as the 2 amendments that have been signed since then. The main change in those agreements is just the amount and the dates that they're effective. Also, the longitudinal growth goals were suspended and they've been replaced with progress markers. And that was due to the pandemic and the delay in implementation that most districts faced.
So then the next slide just kind of tries to recap what really were challenges and or barriers to our implementing our original plan, what we call the plan A. We have a plan B and C. We have multiple layers of the plan, because if you can't do plan A, you have to be able to bring other things in to spend the money on. So this just kind of goes over things that we had difficulty with. And the biggest area was we just didn't have applicants. And so it shows you there which areas that we struggled in having people apply for. And later we'll talk about what we did to replace those.
Additionally, because we had openings in general fund, we had some people that were in SIA positions that applied for our general fund positions, and so that they moved over to that. So then that creates an open position in our SIA funding. So on the next slide, you can see what we had planned for expenditures of that $4.3 million and then what was actually spent. And I added a column for the difference so you can see the amount of underspending we had, especially in staffing. That was nearly, well, it was $850,000. The others were pretty minimal. One expense that we didn't anticipate was audit expenses. The state is requiring a separate audit. It can happen during our single audit, but there are specific tasks that they're requiring our auditors to do that they're charging us for because it is duplicative work. And the auditors have approached the state at several levels, several different times to try to tell them that this isn't appropriate under their accounting standards and that it is a duplication of work. So we made the decision to charge that cost directly to the SIA grant because that's the only reason we have that cost. So you'll see that moving forward. And then you can see that Eddyville Charter spent their entire allocation. But that left us, because we underspent on staffing, we had nearly $930,000 that we had to spend at the end of the fiscal year. Normally, this grant needed to be spent out by June, but they gave us an extension through 9/30 for the entire state. So we don't want to lose that money. So we went about spending that. But we did that by moving expenditures from general fund expenditures into the SIA so that we retain that money in our general fund.
You can
Fund
do
balance.
that, so you can do that.
As long as those expenditures are in your plan.
Yes. So for instance, when we moved the music teachers over into the SIA, we didn't move the Crestview Heights music teachers. So that was an expense we moved over. I didn't want to skip over this slide either. Sorry, I don't know what number it is.
Slide 9.
Yeah, so it shows the staffing shortage details. The one before that.
I think it's 8.
There you go.
Oh, that's
Yep.
slide 8.
So the equitable and healthy schools /HR assistant position was filled midway through the year. Behavior specialist was only there for 8 months. We had a social worker that was budgeted higher than was actually paid because we budget licensed positions on an average teacher cost. The school nurse, we had one open until November. Bilingual tutors, you can see the whole list. We've got
We don't need to have.
yeah, the Hispanic family liaison for the North area that was open all year. So you can see where we had those openings. Okay, so reallocated expenses in 21-22, 241,000. All of the future bound salaries we moved into there. Again, it was an expense that was, these expenses were either in our plan A or they were part of our plan B. We moved the teacher salaries. The depot download for the bus video, we were able to put that in. That was in our plan B. We spent some additional money on middle and high school athletics to cover their fall sports. We spent some money for vestibules. The rest of that expense is actually in the 22-23 slide. And then some for summer school transportation. So that spent 556,000 of the funds. And then in 22-23, so from July to September, we moved the rest of the expense for the vestibules that happened in New Year, 168,000. We bought some special ed curriculum. Again, some athletics expenses. The Zoom licenses were paid there. And again, just some miscellaneous expenses, some professional development, all things that were allowed under the grant. And so we were able to spend all of those funds.
So part of the successful outcomes from last year that are in this next slide are the improved community engagement. Part of the SIA is that we must have community engagement. And so the pieces together that we've done that have actually stayed and are pieces that continue to help support what's going on in our schools and things that at the district level, just all of our community partners. By developing the base for that has continued. And then that, of course, also has helped in our equity work because it allowed a hiring of our Healthy and Equitable Schools Administrator. Part of that was in the creation of our district equity team, and then the professional development around some of that, and then some increase in our Indian education staff, and our MTSS alignment project that's going on and continues. So all of those pieces are part of SIA in relation to the positions that we've hired and have people we've put into place. And so you have a couple of slides about that, our data teams, the PLC work that we're doing, which again is all part of that project.
And all of that work feeds into the reason all of those schools, those 9 schools were moved out of improvement status. Because we were able to have these funds, right? It's all that stuff is some of the results of that, So then the next slide just talks a little again about the North Area Care Team that was in place last year. That I think you folks have some knowledge about. And then when we get to slide 16, I think it is. Our reflections, like the district has prioritized different pieces because of what's been happening in our SIA funds. We have a major focus on student achievement and mental health with kids. We had some COVID impacts, but it didn't stop the district's forward movements in making sure that things for kids were going to be in place and that academically we were having the right things and processes together so that we were able to really look at student growth. So the SIA has benefited the district in multiple ways, and these are just some of the things that we had talked about. The last slide, we just wanted to make sure that people knew about the change that we ended up making at the end of last year as we were talking about area care teams not being able to hire all the positions, and then the pilot we ran around an area care team, was it really doing what we thought it needed to do for kids? And so we made a shift to going to 4 area service coordinators. You heard earlier tonight Mike talk about the one that's here. We have, I think there's a future plan that at a board meeting soon, Sandy's going to come and share some data with you to show you the work that the area care coordinators are doing, service coordinators are doing, so that you can see some data around what it is they're helping kids with and families with, and the success of that. It's actually been, I think, already pretty amazing. And it's in the infancy of it. It's a brainchild of a few people, and trying to now get the people and put it into place and start people moving, and it's already making a difference. And so I think to me, that's pretty amazing. I'm really excited to see what else it can do. And then, what's the next shift? Because I don't think this is the end. I just think it's what's happening now, and then how do we need to shift it in the future? So we're going to keep watching that, and that just being part of what, one of the things SIA funds are doing for us. And they've designed the SIA to be that way, so that we plan for 4 years, we execute for 2 years, then we look at how it's going, see where we need to make adjustments and move forward, so that we're continually, improving the program and the use of our funds.
Kim, I wanted to know if you would give a brief definition to the board, what the difference is between student investment account dollars and ESSER funds.
They're completely different. The student investment account is state funds. It was a law that was passed by the state legislature in 1920. And the ESSER funds are federal COVID funds. So we had 3 installments of that. We had the CARES Act, then we had CRISA, and then we had ARP. And we've spent our CARE funds. We have some CRISA funds left, and a large chunk of ARP funds. So ESSER 1, 2, and 3, you might hear them referred to as that as well.
And we have to spend those by a certain day, certain year, right?
2024, September of 24.
What happens is people hear all of the alphabet soup, and they can't make heads or tails out of which is federally funded and going away, and that which is in state law for Oregon. So.
And ESSA sounds like ESSER.
the
ESSA is
just
Every
like it.
Student Succeeds Act, and that's where the
Okay.
SIA account came from. It's under that umbrella.
Exactly. I'm
The
glad you
ESSER
pointed that out.
funds is elementary and
SIA.
secondary school, I can't remember, educational resources or
It
something.
used to be the ESEA, Elementary Secondary Education Act, and then it became No Child Left Behind.
Mhm.
And now it's the ESSA,
ESSA.
Every Student Succeeds Act. So all of those acronyms just keep changing. I just don't want the board to be, or the community to be, having any thoughts that SIA goes away. SIA doesn't go away. Now, SIA does go away if you get somebody into the legislature who decides that they don't want the corporate activity tax to pay for the SIA. And then they can go through a legislative step and remove that law. We're hoping that that doesn't happen because
But currently it is state law
currently
and it
it
is
is
funded
and it just passed this state law
permanently
just
by
a few years
the
ago.
tax. Mhm.
In addition, we received our wildfire money, and I don't want to muddy up this excellent presentation. But I think on December 13th board meeting, perhaps we can look at that wildfire money with the board. What's been allocated, 3 pots, SIA, HSS, and SIA, and SSF. So just to make sure that we know that we got monies in each of those 3 pots and what our plan is with that. So I just want the board to be aware of that, and also in our next board meeting, we'll review. So we did get a few more SIA dollars as well. We will anyway.
I think that'd be really helpful.
Yeah,
They're not technically SIA dollars, they're wildfire funds that have to be used similarly to how we use our SIA dollars. So they'll be kept in a separate fund.
Yeah. So we'll talk more details next time. I just want to make sure.
I like how you said we go from plan A to B to, you know, because, you know, if you need to take a look at something that's not working, you shift to what is going to work. And so I really appreciate all your hard work.
You know, especially when we had the care team pilot in the north, and then you discovered it wasn't working as effectively as you wanted, and you shifted. I was really impressed by that, because a lot of times it takes years to realize that some, you know, or to act on the realization that something's not working.
Yeah.
And time to change to something new. I appreciate that.
Especially when you have a boneheaded superintendent who's like, that's the way, that I'm so sold, and that's the way. And then they came with others. It took my breath away to think about shifting. But once the communication got out there, I'm looking at Sandy about why you couldn't but make a shift. And now that we've made the shift is working.
Yeah.
So I agree with you, Peter, that is really a professional and mature thing to do. Well, what do you know? Darn right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate it. Eddie, we have no cards, any public comment cards, do we?
Correct, no.
Okay, thank you. Moving along, well, the resolution to adopt OSBA legislation priorities and principles.
Yep. We literally have to vote on that.
We need to vote on it next
Yeah.
month. Yeah, and we have to do it. So everybody give it a read through.
And the same is true for 10B.
Yeah, and we'll have to do elections. There's nominations, they've written out their resumes. Anyway, so we'll take care of that at next month's meeting. So, all right.
Yeah, plus they will lobby you at OSBA
Oh, that'll be.
for exactly which way they'd like you to vote.
Yeah, it's a really
Well,
high,
under $50.
it's a powerful, it's a powerful position.
Well, that's good, because I wanted to hear a little bit more
You
information
will.
than what was presented to us, just
will.
on paper.
If you choose to attend the OSBA elections thingy, they will give you all of the positions. They'll get, all the people will get up and speak, and you'll actually have an opportunity to meet the candidates.
Okay, moving along into just reminders, it looks like February 28th will be the rescheduled joint work session with OCC. We will be at OSBA this weekend. December 13th is a business meeting at Sam Case. I have on my calendar that we have a work session on the 22nd. Is that correct, of
Of
November?
November, that is correct.
Uh-huh.
Very important work session.
Yeah.
We are reviewing our bonding information with Piper Sandler Company to forward face to our bond. So that is really important. In addition,
The third 28th. It's on your.
it's in there.
It's on there.
And also a data dashboard presentation. And also you need to have chapter 3 of Fearless Schools read.
That's gonna be a pretty packed meeting.
It's 2
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah.
It's busy.
So Eddie, if you could maybe send us out a reminder on that people need to read
Yep.
the next chapter in their book. The next centennial meeting is on the 17th at 5:30.
Correct.
And I'm gonna miss that.
Okay. Awesome. Press one. Anyway, so we've got some busy couple weeks coming up here, so anybody, I'm home. I have my phone with me if I can help with any rides, answers, or etc. Eddie, thank you again for your work with the board book. I think it's really benefiting all of us, and every time I use it, it's getting more comfortable and I'm getting the hang of it. So,
Getting there.
all right.
Oh, it's much easier.
Does anyone else have anything for the good of the order they'd like to bring up? If not, meeting adjourned. Thank you.